saying, "Look at you, filthy and useless. You should be grateful that someone as beautiful as me even acknowledges your existence. Rubbish." Once upon a time in the kingdom of Nyala, the people lived under the rule of a king who was once benevolent but had become heartless and wicked. The loss of his son many years ago had turned him into a bitter man. Without the prince whom he loved so much, the king's heart hardened, and his once wise and kind rule was now replaced with cruelty and neglect. He didn't care for his subjects as they suffered greatly under his reign, yearning for a day when peace and prosperity would return. In a quiet, beautiful village within the kingdom of Nyala, there lived two friends, Olama and Olama. Olama was renowned for her breathtaking beauty. Whenever she passed by, heads would turn. But her striking appearance bellied a heart that took pleasure in mocking those whom she deemed beneath her. Olama was quite the opposite. She was kind-hearted and compassionate. Olama had grown up without a father, whom had disappeared when she was just a child. Her mother had always told her that he left on a journey to protect their village, but as the years passed with no word from him, the villagers assumed he had died or even abandoned them. Her mother told her that he used to call her Olama, but he had a name for her, Akuna. Every day, Olama and Olama would journey to the market or the stream, laughing and chatting with their friends. However, during their trips, they always encountered two madmen who roamed the village in tattered rags. These madmen were dirty and disheveled, but would always sit by the stream, mumbling to themselves and occasionally smiling at passerbys. Olama, seeing them as easy targets, would snatch their little food away from them and hurl curses at them, saying, "Look at you, filthy and useless. You should be grateful that someone as beautiful as me even acknowledges your existence. Rubbish." Every time she would snare at them, while her friends laughed in agreement. "Look at their dirty legs. Look at how smelly they are. Only she. Every single time. Olama, however, would offer them kind words and occasionally sneak them a piece of bread or any leftover food she had from her house. "Here you go. This is for you," she would whisper, placing the food beside them. "You shouldn't go hungry." One sunny afternoon, as Olama and Olama were on their way to the stream, they found the madmen sitting under the large tree. Olama immediately began her usual tirade of insulting the madmen, but this time, one of the madmen looked at her with an unusual intensity. He was the younger one. Ignoring her insult, he spoke in a clear, steady voice.
"Why do you take pleasure in hurting those who have nothing?"
Startled, Olama took a step back, her face flushing with anger and embarrassment. "How dare you speak to me, you filthy thing? You are just a madman." Olama stepped forward to stop Olama from insulting the madmen, but she refused. She continued to hurl insults at them and walked away after having her fall. Olama, her eyes wide with curiosity, asked the madman, "Why do you let her treat you this way?" The older madman responded, his eyes reflecting a deep sadness.
"Not all is as it seems, Olama,"
he said. before retreating into his usual mumblings, hitting his head against his knees, rubbing his hands on the sand, and trying as much as possible to avoid eye contact. Every day when Olama went to the stream, the madman would offer to help her cross to the other side of the river just to get cleaner water because of how often she showed them kindness. Days turned into weeks, and the villagers continued their daily routines, oblivious to the changes stirring within the kingdom. The king, sinking further into his despair, drowned his sorrows in alcohol. His cruel rule persisted, and the kingdom and its subjects suffered. One fateful evening, the king's health took a severe turn for the worse due to his excessive drinking. As he lay on his deathbed, the kingdom was abuzz with the news that a successor would be picked from another family, as everyone knew that the prince had died. There was no one in the king's family to take over as heir. The council prepared to choose a new ruler by sitting together to discuss to pick the best candidate for the job.
Come, my fellow villagers.
The king's messenger announced, hitting the gong in his hand.
A new king will be chosen tomorrow. Prepare for a new era. Everyone is expected to be at the palace when the sun has risen.
The next morning, the village was in turmoil, waiting for the council's decision. Just as they were about to announce the new ruler, the gates opened, and two men walked in through the gates. The guards, recognizing one of them as Odili, the former royal advisor, allowed them entry. As they entered the grand hall, gasps of disbelief echoed through the room. The council members, the villagers, Ugoma, Olama, and everyone stood in shock as they saw the madmen who were always sat by the river, dressed in regal attire. The man, whose name was Odili, stepped forward, his voice clear and authoritative.
My dear people, you have long wondered about the prince's disappearance. Today, I reveal the truth.
He gestured to the younger man beside him.
This is the prince, the rightful heir to the throne. Many years ago, an accident occurred, separating him from the royal family. I saw him laying almost lifeless and chose to stay hidden to protect him, living as a commoner to shield the young prince and guide him.
The prince, now standing tall, looking handsome and clean in regal royal attire, stepped forward to speak. He said,
I have seen the hardship you endure, the kindness and cruelty that have coexisted among you. I promise to be a king who listens, who cares, and who works to make our kingdom a better place for all.
The king, who had been laying sick for so long, stood on his feet, happy and dancing to the return of his long-lost son. Tears of joy rolled down his face as he gave his son the warmest hug ever. Ugoma, determined to redeem herself, approached the prince. Your Highness, she began, her voice trembling. I'm deeply sorry for the way I treated you. You know, I didn't know you were the prince. Yeah, I'm so sorry that I talked to you that way. You are not ugly. The prince looked at her and said,
Ugoma, true redemption lies not in words, but in actions. Show kindness to other people, and you will find forgiveness. You only did this just because you found out that I'm the prince.
he said to her, walking away to meet Odili. Odili stood in one spot, his eyes scanning through the villagers like someone who had lost something very valuable. He turned to the prince and said, "My son, there is one more thing that needs to be done. One more truth that needs to be shared." The prince nodded, giving Odili the floor. Odili stepped forward, his eyes scanning the crowd before landing on Olama. His voice softened as he addressed her directly.
Hello, Akunna. I'm happy to see you again.
Using the affectionate name he called her when she was a child. Olama's eyes widened as she was shocked. Akunna? No one else called her Akunna except for her father. Tears welling up in her eyes. She couldn't believe that the man whom had pretended to be a madman for years was actually her father, her long-lost father, Odili. Olama stepped forward, embracing him, tears in her eyes. "Father, I thought you were gone forever," she cried, hugging him so tight. "Yes, my dear Akunna, it is I, your father. I left many years ago to protect the prince. I have missed you so much, but I never left your side. I'm sorry that I created this vacuum in your heart. I'm sorry that I made you and your mother feel pain, but I'm back now." The crowd was captivated by this emotional reunion. The prince walked up to Olama and said,
Olama, your kindness and generosity have not gone unnoticed. You have shown what it means to be truly noble, and for that, I am eternally grateful.
Ugoma, seeing all of this, ran out with shame in her heart. With the truth finally revealed, the kingdom's future was now secure, and the people of Nara began to heal. The prince was installed as king as his father began to recover day by day. The prince, with his newfound understanding of the subjects' lives, ruled with wisdom and compassion. Odili, reunited with his daughter and wife, continued to serve as a trusted advisor, guiding the prince with his vast knowledge and experience. As the years passed, the kingdom thrived under the new rulership. The people learned the value of kindness, empathy, and strength. And in the nearest future, Nara had a new queen, Olama. The end.